Hello everyone, and thank you for joining me. If you don't know who I am, I'm Nigel, award-winning leadership coach and best-selling author. And for over 2 decades, I've had the pleasure of coaching leaders all over the world. What's become clear to me, particularly since COVID, is how different leadership feels now and how differently we as leaders are needing to show up, what's being asked and expected of us. And I'm not sure we're all getting it yet. This is why I'm giving you this talk to share some ideas and suggestions. I'm realizing so many of the old assumptions and best practices we built our leadership around that we always assumed would lead to great outcomes, like just motivate well, inspire well, push faster, push harder, be organized, be agile, etc., 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 isn't enough anymore. In part because, I don't know what we call it, but in part because we're in a period of history where there's constant and endless shifting and disruption, where everything around us is not staying still at all. I mean, I don't know what words to use actually, because it seems quite incredible. Whether it's technology and AI evolving faster than many of us can grasp, whether it's geopolitics shaking global business almost in real time. Organizations were already struggling with the fact that business customers and consumers everywhere are having more choice, more of a voice, more power than ever to change and shift how they source and buy products and services. And also the way we're working together is becoming less predictable and far less anchored, to shared routines and being in the same physical place together. So all that combined is creating a really disruptive time. As one CEO I coach put it, Nigel, I feel like I'm steering a ship, through fog, and my map keeps changing. Just think about that. Steering a ship through fog and my map keeps changing. Can you relate to that? I'm hearing from leaders almost every week in some form or another. And I'm realizing that the focus of leaders, which is often around questions like, how do we stay in control? How do we stay on top of things? Is no longer enough, in part because control can't be guaranteed. And that the real question we as leaders need to carry with us is a question like, how do we stay effective, human and centered when the world around us is so hard to read and constantly shifting? Through my recent coaching work and some of my research for the last couple of books I've written, I've come to realize that there are 3 core leadership qualities that can make all the difference. And thankfully, they're not rocket science. They are, number 1, being grounded. Number 2, being connected. And number 3, being purposeful. Let's look at each of these in a very practical way. The first quality is being grounded. In these uncertain times, most leaders, when we face with challenge and uncertainty, we instinctively grip tighter. We check in more often. We monitor more frequently. We step in more to issues and discussions, and we can definitely leave a feeling of we're micromanaging. But we're not doing this as leaders because we don't trust our teams. It's because it's a human reaction that if we don't do that, things might slip and we won't be successful. Whereas to be successful in these challenging times, we need to pause and ground ourselves by pausing to see things clearly enough, staying calm enough to choose our responses, and perhaps most importantly, being open enough to learn and be curious, rather than defending and justifying and trying to push for answers. As an example, one leader I've been coaching, she talked about walking into meetings feeling tense because she always felt she had this obligation to have the answers, to know what was going on, to carry everything. And it was overwhelming her. And she was having less space in her head to reflect and think about the challenges she was facing. Equally, her team was struggling, she realized, to come up with ideas and solutions to the issues they were facing, because increasingly the team, and they shared this, they were less sure what the issue was, so even less confident than normal in possible ideas and solutions, and therefore they were being quieter. Through the coaching, the leader realized, I need to kind of give them more space. I need to create the conditions so we can successfully operate in these challenging times, rather than have an obsession about we need to get things done, we need to make a decision, which wasn't working. So she shifted her style. Meetings became calmer. There was a sense of more psychological safety. Solutions became a bit more shared rather than forced. And I realized when leaders act in this more grounded way, with calmness and curiosity instead of urgency and control, teams move from feeling pressure to feeling possibility. So that's the first quality I think we need to see more of in leaders, is being more grounded. The second quality is being connected. Yes, for sure, technology connects us at one level, but paradoxically, it's left many of us feeling more isolated than ever. And as more of us work in virtual or hybrid ways, we're losing those small everyday moments that used to hold teams together. The quick chats before a meeting, the smiles, being together, having fun, gossiping around the coffee machine. They're happening less often. And when they disappear, something deeper disappears as well, because people will begin to feel unseen, unsupported, and even undervalued. So the more digital our workplaces become, the more human our leadership needs to be. As an example, a leader I've been recently working with, and I work with their team as well, they're a functional head in a big global manufacturing group. They realized that their team's performing well, but they weren't really connecting. In the words of this leader, he talked about meetings being efficient and productive, but they felt, in his words, flat and emotionally empty. So he tried one small change. At the start of every team meeting, or even broader meeting of colleagues, he asked each person to share one thing they were proud of, one thing they were finding difficult and could do with some input from colleagues, and thirdly, one thing they appreciated about someone else, either within the team or within the broader organization. So those 3 questions, each person had 1 to 2 minutes. No performance, no showing off, no judgment, just being human together. Within a few weeks of doing this, because I was actually team coaching, I was observing the team, within a few weeks, trust kind of grew. People were opening up more. There was a sense of more deeper or easier collaboration, and a feeling that the work was becoming easier. So it's very clear to me, and I hope you're getting a sense of this, that being truly connected isn't a nice to have. It's the foundation that allows performance and well-being to flourish. The third and final quality is being purposeful. And in most organizations today, and I wonder if it's the same in yours, the problem or challenge isn't lack of effort or lack of ability. It's overwhelm. Overwhelm of issues, perhaps overwhelm of opportunities or problems. Most people, we're working harder than ever. But when we're consumed by constant urgency and to-do lists, it's very easy to have no space and to lose sight of why the work really matters. And when meaning disappears, it's very easy for energy and motivation to drain away. I've been recently working with a well-known, well-established multinational during a really turbulent period for them. They had all kinds of issues going on. And the leadership team, and I never doubted, they were dedicated, they were hardworking, they were skilled, but somehow their progress was stalling struggling to achieve many aspects of their budgets in the last couple of years, and motivation was low. A kind of breakthrough came when the company's CEO realized her job wasn't to control everything, but it was to anchor the team, her leadership team, to anchor them in clarity and purpose. To achieve this, and I was coaching her, so I helped brainstorm the process, she simplified priorities and processes. I remember she cut unnecessary meetings. She wanted to create space for people to be productive and have space for reflection, but she also wanted to create space for people to reconnect to why their work mattered. She gave inspirational town hall meetings. There was at least one retreat. She tried to really get back to meaning when, for example, when changes were being introduced, really ensure people understood and could ask through Q&A, why we're doing what we're doing? Why are we going into this market? Why are we changing our systems? To really enable people to feel purpose. Within weeks, there was a sense of energy returning. It was noted that people's stress levels had dropped. I know these things are hard to measure. And a sense that collaboration was becoming easier. Wholly or in part because people were seeing more meaning in their work. And as a result, there was a sense of people having more clarity, coming to work with more heart. So those are the three qualities. And in bringing it all together, it's clear to me that leadership today isn't about doing more. It's about showing up differently. It's about intentionally being grounded when the world is moving quickly. Being connected when people are feeling apart. And being purposeful when urgency and overload is pushing meaning aside. And when we change the way we show up, we change the experience for everyone around us. So I'll leave you with this. How might you show up just a little more grounded, a little more connected, and a little more purposeful, starting today? Thank you so much for watching. This is the work I care deeply about, helping leaders, teams, and organizations unlock things like clarity, confidence, humanity, and motivation, whatever they need to unlock to help them thrive in our ever-changing world. Bye-bye for now.